Welcome, I'm Ananya Datta, and with the election season already started in parts of the world, we at WION have curated a show where you decide the agenda and we bring it to the ballot. This is Race to Power, and here is what we have lined up. What happens to a country when the main opposition party threatens to boycott elections? Now that is a question troubling the waters in Bangladesh. The Bangladesh National Party has one demand: a resignation letter from Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. We decode how years of politics in Dhaka led to this day. And then to neighboring India, where 5 states are gearing up for elections. We decode beyond the manifestos of the political parties. Are their promises real, or are they playing to the gallery? And again, there is never a dull day in Pakistan politics, and today was no different. With major PTI leaders behind bars, PLM-N is planning to launch a country-wide campaign. The party says it wants NAWAZ Sharif to breathe life into the party. The question is, will he? Now, our top story on the show is from Bangladesh, where the main opposition party, the Bangladesh National Party, is threatening to boycott the upcoming elections. Now, if Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina does not step down before the polls to back its demand, the BNP is spearheading a 3-day blockade in the country that has been marred by violence. The BNP has just one demand: the resignation of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, to make way for a neutral caretaker government that will conduct the polls. Now, the BNP says if its demands are not met, it is ready to boycott the polls, in effect implying that its non-participation will delegitimize the results. The BNP had taken part in the 2018 elections without a caretaker government in charge. But this time around, the BNP is reviving its boycott poll pitch, partly emboldened by the United States. That is said, it is implementing a policy that will restrict visas to Bangladeshis who undermine the democratic election process in the country. Now, the BNP is seeing it not only as an indication of pressure mounting on the Sheikh Hasina government, but also the possibility of likely sanctions on it by the US. Now, if the fairness of the January elections are called into question, seeking her 4th straight 5-year term in office, Sheikh Hasina, on the other hand, has repeatedly ruled out stepping down and handing over the reins to a caretaker government. Instead, she has accused the BNP with indulging in terrorism and hooliganism. On Tuesday, she reiterated that the elections will happen like they happen in countries like Canada and India. She asserted that routine government work will not stop. Now, the statement came amid her government's continuing crackdown on dissenters. In the wake of the widespread protests in Bangladesh, several opposition members and activists have been arrested. Human rights groups say the government action is an attempt to intimidate the opposition ahead of the elections. Now, Hasina's main rival and 2-time premier, BNP leader Khaleda Zia, is under house arrest on corruption charges. Hassan and BNP's acting chairperson, Tariq Rahman, is also in exile. Now, you see, Bangladesh has a long and troubled association with allegations of violence and foul play before, during, and after the elections. The last election that was widely considered free and fair took place in 2008. Sheikh Hasina won this election by a landslide. Notably, it was conducted by neutral caretaker government. But then in 2011, Hasina's Awami League government scrapped the system after Bangladesh's High Court ruled it to be unconstitutional. The Awami League has argued that the Election Commission can competently oversee fair elections. Subsequent elections in 2014 and 2018 were marred by controversies as well. The 2014 election faced opposition boycotts on the caretaker government issue. Now, major liberal democracies, including the United States and Australia, called for a new vote. But India, Russia and China expressed no problem with the result. Now, although the opposition participated in 2018 election, the vote was marred by allegations of intimidation and repression of opposition leaders. And also allegations were leveled against the ruling party for vote rigging and ballot stuffing. The 140 million Bangladeshis are still divided on the issue of caretaker government. But recent survey says that many believe without it, the election will not be a fair one. Now, for more on this, we are being joined by Harun Habib live from Dhaka. He is a Bangladesh Liberation War veteran, journalist and a writer. Welcome to the broadcast, Mr. Habib.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, with a threat like boycott from the main opposition party, of course, I want to ask you, do you think Sheikh Hasina will step down?
You see, BNP and his ally, Jamaat Islami, have boycotted the elections earlier also. But it may be very too early to make any conclusion whether they are going to boycott this time again. The schedule of the election is yet to be announced, and the main opposition is trying to mount, as you have said, the pressure on the government by intensifying state education. Sheikh Hasina, on the other hand, is always saying that she is not going to step down. However, the election, the opposition continued the violent protest, and if they fail to force the Awami League government to succumb to their demands, which is very unlikely, many think that the opposition might refrain from taking part in the coming poll. But I don't think that will force the Election Commission to abandon the vote. Chief Election Commissioner Qadi Habibul Awal just yesterday said, made it very clear that the Commission, under his dispensation, will hold the election as mandated by the Constitution and in time.
Right. Mr. Habib, I want to bring in two facts on the ground in Bangladesh at the moment. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has been accused of vote manipulation and stifling of the opposition's voice. Now, on the other side, the opposition chief, Mirza Alamgir, has been arrested and accused of murdering a police officer. I want to bring in the most important element of any election here, which are the voters. How are the people deciding on who to vote? What are they saying, looking at both the sides of the political spectrum?
No, the main issue of the opposition is that they want the election to be held on under caretaker government. That is, in their views, the caretaker is a non-political, non-partisan government. You know, the caretaker system was a unique system to conduct elections under neutral, non-partisan government. Khaleda Zia's government in 1990 had to succumb to the pressure of the then opposition Awami League led by Sheikh Hasina when massive campaign for caretaker government was launched. But the system was grossly misused by the coalition government of BNP and Jamaat Islami after they come to power in 2001. Therefore, there was a serious criticism of the system. As you have said, yes, there is opinion of the country is divided on this caretaker issue. But, therefore, Sheikh Hasina, when in power again, through the 208 elections, scrapped the caretaker system. The higher judiciary, as you have said, has also declared the system unconstitutional and illegal. Yeah, so at the moment, there is no provision of caretaker government in Bangladesh constitution. Therefore, election has to be held in the way it is held in other democratic countries. So people are definitely divided, and opposition supporters demand that it should be held in caretaker government. The government supporters and other political parties also, they say, when there is no caretaker system in the constitution itself, how can an election be held in the caretaker system? So absolutely. This continuing.
Absolutely. Mr. Harun Habib, thank you so much for speaking with us here on WION World is One from Dhaka. All right, moving to neighboring India now, where it's raining promises and guarantees for the voters. Ahead of key state assembly elections scheduled this month, the voters are being made a slew of promises. From buying cow dung at ₹2 per kilograms to increased farm support subsidies and jobs for every household. The main political parties are wooing the voters with all and everything imaginable.
तो बहनों और भाइयों, हम आपके सामने कुछ ऐसे गारंटी लाए हैं जिनके बारे में अब आपको मैं बताऊंगी, जो हम 100% लागू करेंगे। ये मेरा वादा है आपको।
इनकी गारंटी है भ्रष्टाचार की गारंटी, इनकी गारंटी है प्रदेश को लूटने की गारंटी, इनकी गारंटी है किसानों को धोखा देने की गारंटी, इनकी गारंटी है बहनों के साथ अन्याय करने की गारंटी, इनकी गारंटी है नारी का अपमान करने की गारंटी, इनकी गारंटी है युवाओं को छलने की गारंटी।
The race in three major Indian states of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh is between the Congress and the Bharatiya Janata Party. In Telangana, the regional party Bharat Rashtriya Samiti is currently in power. Let's take a quick look on what these parties have promised so far. Starting with the Congress, that has made a range of guarantees in the poll-bound states. In Chhattisgarh, it has promised free education for students from kindergarten to post-graduation in all government schools and colleges. It has also promised to waive off farmers' loans and loans taken by women self-help groups. Moving on to Madhya Pradesh, it has promised a return to the old pension scheme, a caste census, subsidized electricity and cooking gas cylinders, and also filling vacancies in government jobs. Among its promises in poll-bound Rajasthan, there is the pledge to provide cow dung at ₹2 per kilogram, free laptop or tablets for first-year government college students, and a guarantee of English medium education to every student. The main rival of the Congress and the BJP, that is, currently holds power at the centre. The party is yet to release any official manifesto or make big-ticket promises. But its leaders have nonetheless made some poll promises that include Prime Minister Narendra Modi's promise of providing house and tap connection to every poor household in Rajasthan. Now, in Telangana, the BJP has promised 10% quota in government jobs, education institutions, and even private jobs for tribals. The BJP has also promised that it will appoint someone from the backward classes as chief minister if voted to power. In poll-bound Mizoram, it has promised 33% reservation for women in government jobs in this state. And finally, in Madhya Pradesh, where the party currently holds power, the state chief minister has promised a job to each household if voted to power again. Let's go across to the country of Pakistan now, where caretaker Prime Minister Anwar-ul-Haq Kakar has announced that politicians having loyalties with Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf chairperson Imran Khan will be allowed to contest the upcoming polls. Now, earlier reports suggested that the PTI might not be allowed to take part in elections. Now, this comes in the wake of the events from May 9th. Two parties, led by Jahangir Tareen and PTI parliamentarians headed by Pervez Khattak, were carved out of Imran Khan's party. Now, these new parties have also launched their own election campaigns. Other leaders, such as Shah Mahmood Qureshi, who was the former Minister of Foreign Affairs, remains jailed. Meanwhile, the Islamabad High Court resurrected the appeals of former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and ratified a decision of the Punjab caretaker government to suspend his sentence in the Al Azizia case. Now, Sharif was convicted in the Al Azizia case by the National Accountability Bureau, also known as NAB. Now, the court had given its verdict in September of 2017. Sharif was barred from holding public office as per the court order. And now Nawaz Sharif chaired PMLN's formal party meeting at Jati Umrah in Lahore for the first time in 4 years, that is. The PMLN is also planning to launch a new manifesto. It has decided to seek applications from potential candidates for upcoming elections by November 10th. After the manifesto launch, central and provincial election boards will be set up for awarding tickets for upcoming polls. Now, for more on this, our correspondent and Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik is joining us live from Islamabad. Anas, welcome to the broadcast, and I want to ask you straight up, Pakistan's Prime Minister has said that Imran Khan's loyalists will not be barred from contesting polls. But let's look at some facts here. Party Chief Imran Khan is behind bars due to the Toshakhana case, of course. The Vice Chairperson, Sheikh Mahmood Qureshi, was arrested under the Official Secrets Act. The PTI President, Chaudhry Parvez Elahi, remains in custody over corruption charges. So basically the people who could make a difference in the election results are all behind the bars. So how should one assess Prime Minister's comments?
Well, he talks about a level playing field being given. That indicates that in all likelihood, in the run-up to the elections, we might just see that the PTI would be getting some relief. Now, when we talk about relief, that means Parvez Elahi can possibly be released. There can be some relief for Shah Mahmood, but there is no relief in sight for Imran Khan per se, and that is a given because of whatever the proceedings with regards to the cipher saga that have been happening. There's a long way till the elections are announced. They will be announced sometime in the end of November, as what we're given to understand, and then the parties will be having another about 2 months to campaign. So in the run-up to that, there will be some relief going by the comments of the Prime Minister. Ananya.
All right, Anas, there seems to be a thunderstorm behind you. Stay safe and thank you for all those updates from the ground. Let's now talk about the presidential race in the United States. With elections due in 2024, ironically in the world's second largest democracy, the US vote bank stands divided over fundamental issues of freedom, and well into the 21st century, that is. It is the debate on abortion rights that has taken center stage. And a 2022 decision of the US Supreme Court to overturn a 50-year-old ruling in the landmark case of Roe versus Wade has, of course, polarized the Americans across. Now, questions have risen once again over the abortion ban in the United States as legal battles continue to be fought against the criminalization, of abortion procedures. In the latest Arizona-based lawsuit, the U.S. Federal Appeals Court has allowed medical plaintiffs to challenge the ban on abortions in cases of fetal abnormalities. Now, the decision came on Monday after the U.S. Court of Appeals overruled a federal district court's decision that doctors lacked standing to challenge the Arizona abortion law. The doctors have accused Arizona's Senate bill of being vague, because of which the medical staffers are forced to refuse abortion that were outside the scope of law, fearing punishment, of course. The problem being faced by the medical community here is just the tip of the iceberg. The burning issue of criminalizing a woman's right to decide what she wishes to do with her body has become the focal point in political debates across the United States. Presidential candidates from the Republican camp are counting on pro-life promises and ensuring a more strict clampdown on abortion procedures should they come to power, that is. Now, but on the other hand, the Biden-led Democrats are hoping that their stance in favor of abortion rights will appeal to the under 40 vote bank in America, even in the states that have historically voted for the Republicans. Let's now take a look at where the American states stand on the abortion issues. So far, 21 states have implemented an abortion ban in several capacities. 14 states have implemented a blanket ban on abortion procedures, and this means that abortion is criminalized under all circumstances, including rape, abnormalities, and life-threatening conditions. In 4 major states, the abortion ban has a gestation period between 6 and 12 weeks. After the 12-week pregnancy timeline passes, a woman cannot get it terminated. In 3 additional states, including Florida, whose governor is Ron DeSantis, of course, a gestational abortion ban has been implemented. Now, the period for which abortion is allowed ranges from 15 to 18 weeks. But this is where things get interesting. Of the 21 states, 19 are red-leaning, which means that the vote bank is primarily Republican. It remains to be seen if women voters from these states will wing their vote in favor of the Democrats. Or will the pro-life narratives sway them once again? Now, on the other hand, what comes as a major surprise is that 2 key states, Georgia and Arizona, have also implemented abortion bans. Just in 2020, US President Joe Biden won in Georgia and Arizona with a sizable majority. But questions arise as to how steadfast will the Biden camp remain towards abortion rights for women in America, if the legislation of these 2 states is anything to go by. And now we bring you a wrap of all the other important election stories from around the globe. Serbian President Alexander Vučić set December 17th as the date for early parliamentary elections in the nation. Now, this will be the 3rd vote in the Balkan country in nearly 4 years. Local elections will also be held on the same day in several municipalities, including the capital city of Belgrade. In the race for Mexico's presidential elections, former Mexico City mayor and ruling party candidate Claudia Sheinbaum holds an 18 percentage point lead over her nearest rival. In the race to win Mexico's next presidential election on June 2nd, that is, Sheinbaum has the firm backing of popular President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. Six presidential candidates in the Democratic Republic of Congo called for measures to save the election. The group included President Felix Tshisekedi's main rival and urged for measures to prevent potential fraud in the upcoming general election. Now, in a joint statement, the candidates promised to work towards to prevent any manipulation of results and also demanded a number of measures from the Electoral Commission, such as the publication of electoral lists and mapping of polling stations. And that's all we have for you in this time for today's edition. Tune in again tomorrow and join the race to power. Thank you.